residential tech talk, lighting specialist, residential tech.
Welcome to Residential Tech Talks. I'm Jeremy Glowacki, Executive Editor of Residential Tech Today. On this week's podcast, Hagan Kappler joins us from Costa Mesa, California, where she is co-founder and CEO of Daisy, the national smart home integration franchise. With a career spanning service brands like Starbucks, Carrier, Trane, Club Car, Terminix, Maids, and ServiceMaster, our guest today has navigated corporate life, solving challenges, building teams, and seizing opportunities. Her goal since launching Daisy into the CEDIA channel this past January is to be the strongest national brand in technical support, offering clear, simple solutions. By partnering with the best home automation companies and top entrepreneurs, Daisy strives to provide wildly simple solutions and unwavering support to their customers. Hagan Kappler, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining us today.
No, thank you so much, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.
How are things in Costa Mesa today? Have you seen daylight, or are you stuck inside with meetings and looking at tech gear that's there in that showroom that I see?
No, Costa Mesa is beautiful as always, sunny and blue skies, no humidity. It's perfect here. But our office is also beautiful and crisp and cool, so it's perfect.
That's great. Love to hear it. You picked the right place to live.
Yes, we did. Yes, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Daisy, hopefully a lot of folks who are watching or listening to this are familiar by now with what you've been up to as a company, and the brand obviously stands out. The name is unique. It's easy to remember, which is great on whoever came up with that.
Thank you.
Doesn't sound like, Joe Schmo's AV integration brand. Everybody names their thing after themselves, or they all sound the same.
Yes, right.
So good work there. And I guess we need to kind of just start at the beginning. And there's a lot we can talk about. I definitely want to talk about your background, and we'll get into that. But what was the thing that happened that you said, this is an industry that I really want to explore with all of these other service brands that you worked with? Mm-hmm. What was that little story that, I know you've got one of those anecdotes that you share about where it came from, why you said this is a ripe opportunity for franchise.
Thank you. And again, thanks for having me on. And it's great to chat with you. Someone told me that you're the smartest, most strategic, and nicest person in custom integration. So, appreciate the time.
that's very generous, and I'll take it. I'm not gonna. hopefully that's that. I don't let you down here.
Where did the idea come from? I think it came from sort of a professional business sense, and then also just from a personal drive. I think on the professional side, as you said, I've spent the last 6 years in home services, franchise home services, rolling up various home services. Home services is a $700 billion, market in the United States. And 10 years ago, I was at Ingersoll Rand, which is the manufacturer for, at the time, Trane, HVAC, Club Car, who you mentioned. And, at the time, and also they had owned Schlage locks. And so we had been working on home automation 10 years ago and talking about, digitizing and connecting factories, connecting buildings, connecting homes. So at the time I had thought, oh gosh, I can't wait for my home to be smart. That'll be great. I had, 2 small children and was expecting a third, and it's a little chaotic trying to manage, personal life, being a mom, and being in the traveling and working and all those things. And 10 years later, I was working in home services and seeing there were national brands, and I could see that the importance of having a national brand and how much that mattered in the home services space, and how that helped someone who was trying to navigate, running a small business. If you had the backing of a national brand and had the backing of a franchisor, even if you were an independent franchisee, in your marketplace. And I was just surprised that there wasn't a national brand in home automation. So I just, just saw that as an opportunity. Here was a $30 billion market with 20,000 players. And I thought, wow, I think from a consumer side, it would be a huge benefit to have a national brand. And then also, from the integrator perspective on the dealer side, if you could bring some folks together, provide some more services, get that kind of benefit from scale, I have a feeling that could be helpful as well. Now, on the personal side, as most people, I was, working a lot more from home. So I was relying on, internet and being able to do calls like this from home. I have now 4 children, they're doing homework from home, often having to rely on the internet. They're streaming shows, at night we're wanting to listen to music or, when I'm traveling, I'd love to be able to check in on them, make sure they're safe and secure through security cameras. And, I just get frustrated sometimes that it doesn't always work. And certainly it wasn't all connected. Our home was built many years ago, and the guy that initially set it up, he never kind of came by to help me out. And here I had a cleaning lady, and by the way, I had run a couple of cleaning businesses, national cleaning business. I had a guy who came and cut the lawn every week. I had a pest control guy who came once a quarter, and I'm thinking to myself, what could be more important than all of these technologies that are running in my home? Like, where's my tech guy? And so bringing kind of that, again, the professional side and the personal side, it made me think, if I could bring together a national brand, maybe we could offer this ongoing tech support. What could be more important than that?
That's a great start to understand where you came from, and having been in the custom integration business and knowing how entrepreneurial it is and how not national it is from a brand standpoint. Even as much as I love CEDIA as a trade association, it's there's a limit on how much then they've been able to really promote the trade and all these individual players. To not have that big brand name that you can go to, other than maybe like a Geek Squad kind of thing, which more people are familiar with that, but what a lot of integrators do is different than what that is. So what were some of the first steps? One of the moments when I suddenly just woke up to say, wow, this company means business, was when I met up with Gordon Van Zyden from Cybermanor in Northern California, who I've respected and known for a long time in our industry. And he said he was going to be, basically becoming a Daisy company, and was working on a partnership kind of situation. And I'm like, okay, this is for real now. This is not just one of these like things that's going to fly by and we're never going to hear about. So what were some of the first steps you needed to do for your due diligence when you were getting started, before that even kind of came about?
Yeah, thanks. That's a really nice story. It gives me chills to think about. It was probably a little over a year ago when, as I said, we knew that it was a big market. We knew there were 20,000 integrators, but unlike pest control, home cleaning, HVAC, any other market, there is no SIC code for the space, right? There's no clearly defined space. There's no broker to call to find out, hey, are there any businesses to buy? Biz buy sell, you have to really comb through to see, what the businesses are. There's no clearly defined space. So we actually looked at CE Pro, actually, sorry. I know they're another publication.
That's okay. You can forget their name. That's fine.
But I knew that there was a publication that had, the top 100 players. And so we kind of combed through that list. We combed through house.com. We combed through Yelp.com. We just looked through, we looked at, Control 4 to find, specific players. We would look at different markets to say, okay, where do we think that there would be a good, market for this? And we narrowed down our list to about 50 integrators. And we wrote personal letters to those 50 integrators to explain who we were and what we were trying to do. and what we liked about his or her business. And then we also put together a little packet about, this idea, this vision, to try to explain what we were trying to do. Because unlike HVAC, where there has been, significant roll up, I think there's something like 76 different private equity firms who are doing some sort of roll up in the HVAC space or pest control or, other home services. We just weren't sure how familiar folks would be in this space if we just, called out of the blue and say, hey, would you ever want to talk to us about partnering? So we wanted to make that clear. The other difference here was that obviously we're not a private equity firm. I mean, I'm just an individual, and I was looking for a different type of financial backing through angel investors and venture capital. And so I wanted to kind of make that clear that this was a different kind of outlook. I was looking to invest in the long term, and we were looking to create sort of a foundation of flagship partners, but we weren't necessarily looking to acquire those partners. We were open to investment. We were open to also franchising. And because I had some familiarity with franchising, I thought that might be good for this space where we could partner with companies, offer them our services for a fee so that they could continue to operate independently under one unified brand and get all the benefits of being a part of our company, and then be able to participate in the value creation rather than just have, our team benefit from that. So I spent a weekend at FedEx, writing out these letters. The team there, I think, cringes when I still walk in the door because I really wanted the packages to be perfect when they arrived. I received callbacks from half of those 50 letters that I sent out over the course of, a couple of weeks. I sent out a batch of 10 or 15 and then another 10 or 15. One of the first companies to call me back was Brilliant AV. And I am doing this call from their location, which is kind of our de facto headquarters. This is their Focal room, so I'm not like advertising Focal or anything like that. It's just we have a busy day here because we're doing a discovery day with some potentially interested franchisees and potential acquisition targets. So this is the quietest space in the office.
It's a beautiful room. So
yes, thank you.
It doesn't sound echoey or anything. So well done.
So Matt Mullen called me. The package arrived on a Monday. He called me on a Tuesday, invited me into the office on a Friday, and I walked out of the office and I called one of my business partners and said, I think we found our first franchisee, which was really exciting. And, a few weeks later, Gordon wrote me a really long email from Cyber Manor asking what was it about his business that I was so interested in, kind of quizzing me on what did I really know about him. So I wrote him back a note and, we started a conversation. Again, I was still just trying to get educated about this industry, and I would take any call and any meeting I could. And so I ended up traveling around the country. I've probably met with hundreds of different integrators and thought leaders, and it's been a terrific education that has really helped to help us build out, a lot of the foundation and the support centers that we've built to try to help our teams, the integrators, the owners, the technicians, and build some of these tools that we've started to build out. But I was probably just as surprised as you were when you read the news, when Gordon one day turned and said, I think I want to, be a part of the Daisy team. And, I don't necessarily want to retire. I want to actually be on the team. And so that's been terrific. And, since he's joined the team, he has said that he's been like the happiest he's ever been. And so that's been, just so rewarding to see him engaged and participating and, critical, helping, being constructive and giving feedback and pushing us to be better. But it seems like he's having fun doing it. So it's been awesome. And I learned something new from him every day.
Imagine a TV that not only delivers stunning 4K Ultra HD visuals, but also doubles as a piece of art. Introducing the latest innovation by Skyworth, the Skyworth Canvas Art TV. It blends seamlessly into the living space, transforming the home into a gallery of breathtaking visuals. With its novel all-in-one design, say goodbye to the need for an external connection box. saving time and frustration when planning and installing. Even with all the components inside, it measures just over an inch from the wall and mounts perfectly flush against the wall. It boasts a 4K QLED display showcasing vibrant colors in an art mode with more than 150 free pieces of art. The Skyworth Canvas Art TV is more than just a TV, it's a masterpiece. Want to see it in action? Visit the Skyworth booth at CEDIA Expo booth C1115. Don't miss out on this opportunity to witness the perfect fusion of technology and art and other CI solutions. I was remiss not to mention Matt first. Obviously, I know he was the first to jump on board there, and he's someone else who I've spoken to in the past. Don't know him as well as I know Gordon, but a long time back, I remember having a conversation with him that his thinking was so progressive that it kind of freaked me out. He kind of had this vision of what the industry was going to turn into or something, and I was just like, this guy is way beyond my thought process. I'm just trying to cover this industry, and you kind of try to come up with like a through line that everyone is the same in this regard or whatever it is. And this guy's more different than everyone else I've ever spoken to, and I'm a little scared. So, so I don't know. He's maybe mellowed a bit, but I definitely, when I saw him, I'm like, yeah, I can see him getting on board with something like this. But I also thought it was a great testament to what you were establishing, that he trusted this was a good plan. So can you explain though? So Gordon is a branch partner. He wanted to be a part of the team, I guess, the management side of it, and branch owner. Can you just kind of clarify, because those are two ways that you got names?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. So like I said, we can be very creative with how businesses want to partner. In Gordon's situation, we acquired his business, and he is a part of the Daisy team. We call him sort of a Daisy ambassador. His team continues to operate the business. He's still obviously involved in Cyber Manor, but most of his day-to-day is around, helping us and helping the Daisy team. And so that in some cases where an owner is looking to move on or retire or start a next chapter, that's fine. We can help to facilitate that path and help with that transition. Typically, though, through the conversations, through diligence, owners see or at least what's typically happened in our case is that owners see what we're trying to build at Daisy. And as they think about, okay, what am I going to go do next? Whatever they were thinking about before, they see that this could be something similar to what they've done in their careers, building their businesses, but they could take what they've learned and help us to kind of do something different, but, still related to what they've done before. And that's kind of rejuvenated them in their second kind of phase of their careers. So we've got a lot of like reformed retirees who are on the Daisy team. And so in some cases they're, helping us to, let's talk about Bert Herrera, who just joined our team. We acquired First Priority Audio out of Fort Lauderdale. Bert is a Daisy team member. He's helping to, introduce us to other, companies who he think might be interested in getting to know us, either, again, someone we could learn from or someone who thinks, might be a good franchisee or might be an interesting target. Another part of his role, though, is helping to build out what the philanthropic side of Daisy ought to be. Should we be investing in technologies in schools and libraries and communities? What should that kind of element of Daisy be as we're on a path to create, multi-billion-dollar company? We want to make sure that we're giving back to our communities, to our technicians and their families and those types of things. That's a passion of Bert's as well. So we thought that would be a nice fit for him. So it just kind of depends on what the passion of that owner is and what they want their kind of next, like I said, next phase of their career to be. And if that has nothing to do with Daisy, that's fine. There's typically some type of transition to make sure there's like a soft landing for us and for our team. Either they pick out the next general manager or they make sure there's kind of a backup plan there. But, that's worked out really well for us so far.
And then Matt being early on in the group, is he still kind of a involved management type role,
Oh,
or
right.
yeah, did he basically take on offload the tougher parts of being a business owner, an independent business owner, and then just allow him to have the freedom to be a creative person and
Right.
guide
So
him?
that's a great question. Matt's actually a franchisee. So Brilliant AV has transitioned to be Daisy as a brand.
Okay.
They were our first franchisee. They signed a franchise agreement on, I think, right around February 15th. And he is still operating Daisy.
Okay.
His role, he has hired a general manager, so his role is shifting away from the day to day, and his goal is to, 10x the growth of this business. And so to do that, there are some organic initiatives that, his team is working on, but there are also some inorganic initiatives. So I think his role is kind of shifting more around those inorganic initiatives. So given that our team has so much capabilities on M&A, on mergers and acquisitions, joint ventures, partnerships, those types of things, one of our kind of 10 support areas is to help our franchisees identify ways that they can do their own roll-ups in their respective markets. So we're, piloting that, supporting Matt with those efforts here in Orange County.
Okay.
So I'd say that's probably where he's spending, most of his time, in addition to, the networking that he just kind of does naturally. He's also kind of a natural Daisy ambassador, and is kind of an extension of our team.
And I don't know when to start talking about this part of it, but I know that you've been developing benefits for those franchise companies that come along that take that path.
Yeah.
So that they're basically part of a larger group of CRM platform, that type of thing. Can you go over what your progress is on developing those and how it's being implemented so far? What you're hearing back from folks like Matt who are saying, this is taking pressure off of me finally on certain things.
Yeah, no, sure. I would love to. I mentioned that we traveled across the country meeting with hundreds of integrators. Through those conversations, we started to hear some pretty consistent pain points that made it difficult for integrators to either get to kind of the next level of growth that they wanted to get to, or to achieve a certain kind of quality of life. And by the way, we felt like that not being able to achieve a quality of life also inhibited a certain value creation, right? Because you can't sell your business for a multiple on earnings that like a pest control company can, or an HVAC company can, where those owners are typically able to, allow the business to run either by their teams or through technology and other tools. So much of these businesses are kind of being run through owners' heads or pieces of paper. And so if you improve the quality of life of an owner, you're actually going to also enhance the value of that business. It sounds kind of counterintuitive, but and through a number of other ways, you can enhance the value. But those are kind of our two goals: is how do we help franchisees enhance the value of their business and also improve quality of life? And so we thought, let's do that by addressing those key pain points. One was the fact that in any kind of lunch we'd have with someone or a dinner, the owner would be bombarded with customer and technician calls. So we've built a call center and we've built a technician support line. And so we're adding more people to those call centers so that we can add more hours. So in terms of Matt's satisfaction with that, as an example of a franchisee, we're getting to more hours and more days of coverage. Are we at 24/7, 365? Not yet, but that's the goal. And so he won't be 100% satisfied until we're at 24/7, 365, and neither will we, right? But yeah, we want him to be 100% satisfied. So we'll keep working until we get there.
Okay.
On the technician support, same. But I mean, we want to be there whenever the technician is in the home, and I think we're pretty close to 100% satisfaction there. Other examples, marketing and branding. We were surprised in this industry that there really is no marketing spend whatsoever. And then having kind of that national brand. So for example, we've done customer research to really understand who the customer is. We've invested a lot in the creative around our brand. We've invested in digital marketing to try to understand what tactics best work in this space. We're in the middle of a big market and branding research study with a really well-known agency in that space. So a lot of work to be done there to ensure that there's a higher ROI. By having all these owned branches, what's interesting is that we can test and pilot all of these initiatives in our owned branches before we ever have to pass that on to a franchisee. So we can say, hey, this is what worked for us. So this is what we recommend for you. This is what didn't work for us. So we don't recommend that you use your spend on, I'm just making this up, but on a billboard. We recommend that you use your marketing funds towards, this SEO campaign, or through sponsoring a little league team, or, through doing this kind of a builder event. We don't recommend that you do this type of an event. So those are the types of testing that we're doing. We've hired people who are focused 100% on the trades so that we can best understand the needs of builders, architects, interior designers. You mentioned technology. So we have a technology team that's building out a tech stack to support, like you said, a CRM, field service support. The CRM is in place, so that's in flight. The field service support will be an initiative that will roll out next year. We're investing $1 million in our tech stack this year. We'll invest $1 million next year in further enhancing the rest of our roadmap to get to what we want the future state tech stack to look like. We've moved everything over to Microsoft 365. We'll also be implementing an ERP this year. So getting everybody off of QuickBooks onto NetSuite. So again, this is where the benefit of scale comes in, because we can invest in pretty robust tools that can enable us on the CRM, for example, to monitor all of this very rich customer data that our franchisees and our owners and our teams are just sitting on, so that in the future we can go back and catch up with our customers, or we can use AI to know when a customer may need help with a certain upgrade, and just better service and enhance the needs of customers, rather than just kind of try to remember when somebody might need a new Apple TV. And so we think that that'll be super helpful, going forward. That leads me to the recurring service. So one of our huge initiatives, and again, going back to where's my tech guy, we're piloting recurring service initiatives, ongoing support. We call it Daisy Care. And we think that by having our franchisees, by having Daisy have an ongoing support offering, will, we just think that is really the future of this industry. Yeah. To have kind of a quarterly service, not just the remote monitoring, which we think is sort of table stakes, but to be able to go in person and support the customer and be able to be kind of their curator of technology for the rest of their lives. We just think that that's something that no other home services company can offer, and is going to be enormously valuable. And again, getting back to that value creation and maximizing value creation, we think that that's going to really help franchisees and owners generate enormous value for their businesses down the road. So anyway, so we've got 10 different, I mentioned the growth and M&A. We've built out training for technicians. We've built out a learning management system. We've partnered with CEDIA on the training, so that we've curated training based on where a technician is in their career. We've also built out what we think are pretty innovative techniques to be able to hire technicians at various stages, either green techs or more experienced technicians. We think we still have a ways to go there. Personally, I just don't understand why we can't, we're only really addressing 50% of the workforce by having a pretty much 100, all male technician workforce. I don't understand why we can't find more women, because we've got really smart women who are graduating, from trade schools and high schools and colleges, who are really good at math and problem solving. So, I think that that's going to be a big initiative of ours going forward.
Well, maybe, just maybe, being the owner of a company who is, a successful female will make that, happen, because maybe it's just a bunch of guys owning companies who just don't think like that. I'm just guessing that's probably a part of it. So we've also come a long way, hopefully, in our society in that regard. And it's just waking everyone up to that opportunity, and the availability of this industry as an option as a career path. So that's great. How has it been being a female owner in this industry that's so male dominated? And I know there are more and more strong women who are getting involved in CEDIA and that type of thing. But has it been odd for you, or are you used to it with some of the the HVAC trades and that sort of thing?
Yeah. Well, I think like you said, I think some of the best companies in this industry are run by women.
Yeah.
And so I think there's that. And then I also think that most of the companies, if not all, have, while they may be run by men, have a wife or a woman who's sitting right next to him in the office, who's managing the books and making sure employees are getting paid, and making sure that the vendors are getting paid and keeping the lights on. So, and I often saw that in my prior roles of running franchise companies, that it's typically really husband-wife teams. So I don't know if it's necessarily fair to say that they're all, it's a real male-dominated industry, because I do think it's a lot of husband-wives. And I think that's just what happens when these small, medium-sized businesses, it just becomes kind of a family affair, doesn't it? When your whole family and your whole life depends on this business. And so, I totally understand that, and it's hard, when you're trying to run a business and manage a family. So I understand that. Our team is made up of, talented men and talented women. And, my point on getting more women into the technician workforce, I think it's good for society and stuff like that. But I mean, it's purely a business opportunity. It's just to say, it's really been hard for us to find experienced technicians. And so I'm just thinking, okay, well, why don't we train them? And if we're going to go find green techs and train techs, then we might as well find both men and female techs.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense for sure. What I really like, the way you describe your plan, is, the thing that I'd always kind of wondered about with a franchise model or a national brand was homogenization of what the industry is. And there is a lot of, mergers and that sort of thing going on the manufacturing side. So you're getting fewer and fewer brands. So it's sort of streamlining itself in that regard, but it's still a lot of individual personalities of these companies. They choose the brands very carefully that they work with. And you're not coming in and saying you have to use this collection of brands. You have maybe best practices and that sort of thing, I'm sure, that you're going to implement. But you're going to, other than maybe the name on the outside of the business being Daisy, allow them to have some individual personality in those companies as you go?
Yeah. Initially, at least, what we're doing is we're just trying to, we're working with the best and just identifying flagship dealers. And so we're just trying to, let's understand what you're doing so well. We're learning some things along the way. We're bringing in some outside best practices. So right at the gate, we're all helping each other. And so we've been able to see at least financial improvements in everyone who we've been working with right out of the gate. So everyone who's been a part of us is having their best year ever from a growth and a profitability perspective. So that's been super rewarding. So we don't really want to rock the boat in terms of, okay, now why don't you just change everything in terms of the stuff we don't know anything about. We're just working on just some basic, business practices and things that we have seen in other industries, and it seemed to be working well in the companies that we've been helping out with initially. So now, as time goes by and we're able to, formulate partnerships with certain companies or get more advantageous pricing or be able to innovate with other companies, we'll see. But that's most likely far down the path. And right now we're not trying to, limit anyone or rock the boat. These are the most innovative companies. They're sitting with the customer every single day. They know what the customer wants. We don't want to get in the way of that. We just want to be able to get all of the stuff that's been probably, we think, dragging them down, like the finance and the accounting, like the HR stuff, like the marketing and the branding. Let's take that off your plate so you can get back to doing what I think got you into this and what you love to do, which is solving customer problems, playing around with technology, tinkering with this stuff. And let's try to get you in customers' homes more often rather than just on install. And like I said, be that curator for a customer's life and let us take the other stuff off your plate,
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds like a great addition to this industry. And I feel like that's where so many of these companies get hung up, is on those back office kind of things, not on how to make amazing homes come together, but make it more profitable, make it good for their employees and have a life. And I kind of laughed over your comment about the getting calls during the dinners when you're meeting with these companies, because just my whole career has been those types of encounters with integrators. That's sadly the way they live their lives, so many of them. But what have you learned as you've explored the industry before you're getting really started, or as you've gone from these other smaller little franchise, I guess, developments that are happening right now, and maybe even like a Bravas roll up where a bunch of the companies got together, in comparison to kind of your vision? Is there anything you would comment on that in terms of your due diligence?
Oh, you mean differences between what we're doing and what other companies are doing that are kind of similar?
Yeah, just, because it seems like this is we had a couple of, stumbles earlier on, like long time ago with roll-ups, but then it's kind of coming along. It's almost like the time is finally here that this is really going to happen. And not to say, here, we're doing this better than them, but I guess maybe comment on, just generally speaking, that this seems like maybe a good time because there's more than just one company doing this now.
Right. Yeah. I think for us, like I said, it's a $30 billion industry. So we feel like there's plenty of market share to go around.
Absolutely.
So,
sure.
Our goal is to be like a 20% market share player. That leaves 80% more for anybody else. And also our franchisees, our goal is in 5 years, 3 years, however many years, depending on their goals, we want them to be able to have a return. We want them to be able to sell their business for, certain return on earnings. So, and we want them to be able to sell for a higher multiple than what they could get today. So we welcome more investors coming into the space. We want people to get the idea about, franchising the space. So we welcome investment and we welcome the different approaches. Now, I think in terms of what makes us a little bit unique or differentiated, one is our we're backed by venture capital, and so we and angel investors, and so we think that gives us a little bit more time. We have really all the time in the world to do what we think it'll take to continue to invest in the support for these companies and to allow them to grow and flourish. to do things like, pretty big, bold initiatives like, get 50% of our workforce to be women, right? So those types of initiatives will take time. I'm not just sort of trying to throw out big ideas like that and expecting them to happen overnight. We know that will take capital. We know that'll take time. And when you've got investors who are used to things taking that time and are flexible when new opportunities arise, given this is technology. And given the fact that there is no real field service technology in the space. So as an example, if we stumble on an idea where we think that the rest of the industry could benefit and we decide to build out an engineering team like around that, that's something that we might decide to build out on. So I think that's something that's a little bit, makes us a little different than, the other kind of a traditional private equity roll up that I'm used to seeing, in other industries.
Okay.
And then also the other difference is that, when we set out to do this, we've used the investment, half has been towards buying these companies and half has been toward adding team members. We have over 20 people on our corporate team, and those 20 people have been investing in, all those initiatives that I just laid out on marketing, technology, HR, so that we can provide the support for our companies. And so we're building out those resources and support as we've been buying companies. And again, that's a little bit different from what I'm used to seeing in traditional roll-ups.
Okay. So right around the corner is the big, annual trade show for our industry and CEDIA Expo in Denver. And you're planning on being there and bringing in a big team of folks. So what is your plan for CEDIA? And are you looking to meet? Do you have your meetings fairly set now? Or if folks are interested in learning more about becoming a Daisy partner or franchisee, is there still time to line up those meetings?
Yeah, I would love to meet with people at CEDIA. I'll be there with 50 of my best friends from Daisy. We're bringing a lot of technicians, owners, our corporate team. So if you can't get a hold of me, you could always get a hold of, any member of our team, our marketing team, our franchise development team. And I'd encourage people to ask our team or staff about, what it's been to work with me or to work with our team, the good and the bad. So that's why we're all there. But we're also there to learn. I mean, we'll be attending trainings and taking notes and learning from people who are there because we are very much like a feedback-oriented culture and trying to invest in our team so that they can get together. A lot of us, it's my second time going. A lot of our team members, it'll be our first time going. So we're trying to soak it all in. We're excited to be there. We will be at the women's luncheon. We're sponsoring a table. We'll be at the awards dinner. I understand we'll have some suites. So if people, don't feel comfortable talking to Daisy, like in the middle of the trade floor, if they're kind of feeling, want to have a little bit more of a quieter conversation, you're welcome to set up some time. And we can kind of go somewhere off, not too far off site, so it won't be too crazy. And I'll be at the Azione reception with one of our team members, Richard Gleig. So we'll be around. We'll have lanyards that will identify us as Daisy team members. So hopefully we'll be not obnoxious, but at least you can find us pretty easily.
Yeah, I was going to ask with your branding, there had to be something up your sleeve there, but I also just in the short time I've gotten to know you, didn't seem like you would be obnoxious about it. So that sounds about right. A lanyard's a good call. You got to identify yourself somehow, but I've seen plenty of aggressive branding at shows like CEDIA that you laugh at years later, but that's the way to go. So good job.
Thank you. We've gone back and forth. Yeah. I'm a big marching band. No, maybe not. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you really are just getting started. As much as you've accomplished in a short amount of time, it is good to hear, that this is going to take time. You're not expecting to do it all, in 1 year. And don't come off so aggressive that people are turned off by it, So that's a great plan as well.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's good advice.
I really appreciate your time, Hagan. This is great, and I know there's so much more that we could cover. I didn't even talk about the Starbucks blonde roast that you apparently had a lot to do with. But I would say that I don't usually promote my competitors, but CE Pro did a great article on you, and I encourage people to read that if we missed anything here. There's a lot of good stuff in there as well. And I look forward to meeting you in person at CEDIA.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, Jeremy.
My schedule is completely jam-packed, but I have a feeling we'll cross paths at something.
We'll high five on our way to
running to our next meetings, right?
Way to meetings. Yeah, sounds good.
well, thanks for your time. I'll let you get back to it, and we'll follow up. So Hagan Kappler is the co-founder and CEO of Daisy, the national smart home integration brand. You can learn more about Daisy's family of integration firms at daisyco.com. That wraps up today's show, which was produced by Residential Tech Today, IPW, and Pretty Easy Podcasts. If you're new to Residential Tech Talks, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you watched or listened to this episode. Also, check out all the latest residential tech news at our magazine's website, restechtoday.com, where you can also subscribe to the print or digital magazine and to our Tuesday and Thursday email newsletters. Until next time, please stay safe, stay inspired, and let us know if you have a great story to tell.
Residential Tech Talk, autonomous lighting specialist, residential tech. Home automation, smart device, home or smart house.